So this is something I might turn into a short sort of thing, whatever it may be. So something a little funny. Technically speaking, learned about recently. Not even learned about, but just more so, I guess heard is the accurate way to put it, right? So I'll be honest, I dabble in some gotcha games, right? I try not to spend anything, or anything like that, but like I guess there is a few times where it's like, okay, very cheap offer. I throw a little bit at it, and it's like it's a really cool unit or something like that. So I'm like, okay, whatever. That's whatever to me, right? You know, and I'm also very selective with what I choose for that, right? Regardless, I keep myself very simple and contained with a lot of gotcha games and everything, right? Uh, but I do dabble with them, right? Just because I'm like, I don't know, sometimes they involve series I enjoy and all that. One of them in particular, I'm sure people know that I've dabbled in before, and I still dabble in right now, is Dokkan. Dokkan Battle, Dragon Ball Z. I mean, it makes sense that I do because like you look at the shelf and I mean you can just tell, right? Um ooh, excuse me. Obviously, Dragon Ball is not like in my top 10 or anything like that, but it is the very first anime I experienced, and it is definitely a very strong like childhood memory of mine. As well as I do just enjoy the series a lot, right? It is like an 8.5 for me. So I do still enjoy it for what it is, but that said, I didn't really enjoy Super. But Daima was fantastic, right? I loved watching for Daima. That was great. Um, that actually was like a blast of a time. I felt like I was a kid again. It was nice. Um, but in regards to all that, so Dokkan, I dabble in, and something interesting with it is that they have OSTs that they play, right? Now these OSTs, to essentially explain it to people who don't know, they happen at specific points. I'm gonna say in the battle, right? They used to be like way back when I started playing, which was like day one. They used to only be for bosses, right? So you would play an event, and it would be for a specific boss and everything. They changed that over time because by like the third year of the game, they had units who could transform and do all this bullshit and everything. So then they had an OST to go with that. And then they would have OSTs for units using these skills that you could flick up. And it's like, oh, now the unit is voiced, right? Because that's how long it took. It took like 4 years, because the third years could transform, but they didn't have voice lines. It took like 4 years, though, to like the fourth anniversary, where they could actually be voiced and all this sort of shit. Regardless of that, they had OSTs, right? All this sort of shit. They have OSTs for pretty much everything that a unit can do overall, right? So something funny with that, uh, I guess not really something funny, but something to point out is something like this, for example. So this is the brand new Goku they dropped in the game. So when you start using him, let me make sure my desktop audio is on. When you start using this Goku, right? This OST play, like essentially you get an intro of him like powering up and using Kaioken, and then this OST plays. It's good, right? It's nice. All of these OSTs are very short, but they get you in the mood to like, oh yeah, like this is good. I get to be hyped about like seeing my unit do cool shit. They're great, right? Now, I'm gonna mention something about these OSTs, right? Occasionally, they have done some very funny things, and by very funny things, I mean there's times where a unit's OST sounds like it should be from something else completely, right? Um, for example, let's go to this Vegeta. So there's this Vegeta they dropped on anniversary. This is a fantastic OST, by the way. It is absurdly short, but it is good, right? Bow, bow, bow. Great. But when you switch out this Vegeta, because essentially what this Vegeta can do is you can switch him out, right? When you switch him out, he becomes Goku. And when you become Goku, you get a skill that you can flick up for him that's exclusive to Goku and not Vegeta. But then you hear the starting motif of it. It also keeps going after this with a completely different genre of music. But that opening bit to it, my inner Kirby fan heard that, and I'm like, that sounds dangerously close to Return to, or not Return to Dream, but like, I don't know why I'm even saying Return to Dream. That sounds dangerously close to Revenge of Meta Knight, right? Like the ship, right? The halberd. I guess Superstar is what I wanted to say, but Return to Dreamland was on my mind because I was listening to some of the tracks earlier, like last night. But that sounds dangerously close to it, and I was like, that's interesting, right? So going back to Goku, right? This Goku, right? So this is his intro OST. Now he has a gimmick called a standby mode, and essentially is a mode where the unit has to do something. They have to gather orbs, right? And if they get enough orbs, they can use their skill. Uh, there's occasionally like Dragon Ball orbs they have to get, all sorts of shit. Maybe it's additional attacks, right? Some characters need additional attacks and all that sort of shit. Or I guess not really additionals, but just supers, right? Like they need units to do supers, and it can be additionals, it can be active skills, which is the thing you flick up, all that, right? But then there's also one other one, and that's a revive skill. And if a unit uses a revive, essentially, they come back, and either they come back with a transformation or just come back in general, or they do an attack. Now, standbys can also have those revives. And with that revive, Goku has an OST, because this is just the intro and standby OST. Goku has a unique OST for the revive. Why am I bringing this up on a ReZero stream? Here's why. I didn't click it quickly. Here's why. That opening bit, this that sounds dangerously familiar, doesn't it? I just wanted to bring that up because it is absurdly funny to me, and I was honestly floored hearing it. That is just straight up reweave. This Goku, by the way, sucks. He is horrible. Also, should be noted, I pulled for him.